Up next, as the arson investigation shows progress, so do recovery efforts for Gigi's Playhouse after that devastating fire.
The Justice Department unloads new disturbing video from the January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol.
And COVID-related accusations fly between Senator Rand Paul and Dr. Fauci. Valley News Live at 10 is next.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
Good evening, everyone. Investigators aren't providing a name, but have indicated that a juvenile is a person of interest in the arson that significantly damaged a strip mall in South Fargo, housing businesses including Gigi's Playhouse.
The May 11th fire at 3242 20th Street South caused an estimated $1.25 million in damage. In the wake of today's news, Valley News Team's Nashay Taylor caught up with those at Gigi's Playhouse.
For an update on their journey of starting over, she joins us in the studio. Nashay?
Stacey and Mike, the executive director for Gigi's Playhouse, says since the fire, they have been continuing to press forward in their mission of putting the families they serve first. And after the devastating loss of their original location, the Playhouse has bounced around, but they have finally found a temporary home to resume many of their programs. The executive director says the journey has been very eye-opening.
I don't think we realized how hard it was on our families not having that place. Gigi's Playhouse has been a place for families for the last 5.5 years. We offer educational enrichment opportunities free to families with individuals with Down syndrome and their families to learn, grow, thrive. And you know, in the last month, we've realized without that space, it is really affecting our families.
Now the rebuilding process is still ongoing, and the plan is to return to the South Point Business Park in the future. Gigi's Playhouse is also launching a capital campaign called Rise Together to Rebuild. It will happen in 4 phases. The first is to rebuild and reopen. The other phases are, and Mike and Stacey, the other phases are to create life-changing programs for people with Down syndrome across the region.
Hey, thanks, Nashay. Gigi's will be hosting a golf tournament on July 26th. That's next Monday at the Moorhead Country Club to help raise money to rebuild.
We're learning more tonight about an officer-involved shooting from earlier this month, as 2 women have come forward claiming police fired multiple times at a man they say was unarmed and had arms in the air and was trying to surrender.
He said he had a black glove on, but that was for riding his motorcycle, and he put his hands up and he said, no, I'm not armed, I'm not armed. And he said that the cop was screaming at him, and then he started.
Moorhead police say they responded to the 2500 block of 4th Avenue North just after 3 p.m. on July 4th for suspicious activity, followed by a foot pursuit and Moorhead officer Andrew Work firing his gun. 23-year-old Isaiah Hopkins was arrested and is now in prison in St. Cloud on unrelated weapons charges. Officer Work remains on administrative leave as the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension say the investigation is still open. You can find our full story, which includes explosive dispatch audio from that day, on our free VNL News app.
Valley News Live is continuing to investigate a kidnapping in Stephen, Minnesota. The Marshall County attorney tells us despite the incident occurring 10 days ago, it might be another week before charges are filed against the accused kidnapper, 19-year-old Julio Clausen. He's being held in St. Louis County Jail on other charges with his bail set at $100,000. Clausen is accused of abducting a 12-year-old and 14-year-old girls from a park in Stephen after he saw them sharing their location on Snapchat maps. The sheriff says witnesses saw him force the girls into his car. A Grand Forks man is in jail charged with assaulting a police officer and attempting to disarm him. 23-year-old Christian Evans is charged with 3 felonies, disarming or attempting to disarm a law enforcement officer, preventing arrest, and simple assault of an officer. He's also charged with a misdemeanor for refusal to halt. According to court records, this is all stemming from an incident in Grand Forks on Saturday. Police aren't commenting tonight, citing the active investigation.
The storyline for today's weather can be summed up in one word: smoky. You can see the orange-colored sun there. Thanks to a viewer for sending that in. As we look at the live sky cam in Northern Valley, that's where the smoke was worse today. So let's find out where we're headed in the overnight hours, and Hutch joins us with the details. Hutch?
Mike, thanks so much. Good evening, everyone. We're tracking the smoke out there. Not all of us are seeing that smoke, but we do have 2 things that we're watching, as tomorrow is a first alert weather day. Smoky weather and dangerous heat will be building across the valley. Take a look at this as we head into The time lapse from Grand Forks that you could see this evening, how it moved from northwest Minnesota right in to northern reaches of Grand Forks throughout the day. Let's get right to the numbers. First and foremost, there has been some improvement with that air quality index value across north central Minnesota. It was purple earlier, very unhealthy and even hazardous in spots. Now the red. So unhealthy still, but improvement nonetheless. That's good news. Here's the modeled forecast. All the smoke here, northwest, north central Minnesota, slides into the valley overnight. By the time you rise and shine from Fargo, Hillsboro, all the way up into Grand Forks and even Walhalla, you're going to see thick, dense smoke, and it lasts through the first half of the day, and then in the afternoon, south winds start to boot it out for some of us here in the Southern Valley. But that's where the heat will be punching in. I'll have more on the heat and your hour-by-hour forecast coming up here in just a couple of moments.
All right, thanks so much, Hutch.
Today, the U.S. Senate passed a bipartisan bill to strengthen the Crime Victims Fund.
The yeas are 100, the nays are 0. The 60-vote threshold having been achieved, the bill is passed.
The fund helps crime survivors in a number of ways, including assistance with medical costs, legal fees, mental health services, and emergency housing. The fact that every single senator from both parties voted for the bill is a rare example of bipartisanship in this highly polarized political climate. It now heads to President Biden's desk for his signature. Senate Republicans are poised to block a vote tomorrow advancing a massive bipartisan infrastructure bill. Democrats and Republicans haven't reached an agreement to draft the legislation, and all 50 Republicans will likely vote no. The goal is to try again to advance the $1.2 trillion measure by early next week. At least 10 Republican senators would likely support advancing the legislation then.
We're getting a new look at the January 6th breach at the U.S. Capitol. The Justice Department releasing video of former Special Forces soldiers assaulting police. Reporter Brian Todd has the details tonight, but first, we have to warn viewers some may find the images in this story disturbing.
Just a few seconds into this video, after one rioter swings an American flag pole violently at a police officer and another rioter throws a flag at police, a female officer is assaulted hand to hand. Her grimaces of pain clearly audible. Four new video clips of the assault on the Capitol on January 6th released today by the Justice Department. The man that officials say is assaulting police in all of them, Jeffrey McKellop, a retired U.S. Special Forces officer. He's wearing a helmet, gas mask, a Kevlar vest with a patch that looks like the flag of the country of Georgia. Here, prosecutors say, McKellop lunges at an officer, is pepper sprayed, and melts into the crowd. In this video, the female officer who officials say McKellop attacked is seen grabbing her face in pain, being helped by other officers. In this clip, watch the officer in white. Officials say this is McKellop hitting a D.C. police captain in the head with a flagpole, then throwing the pole at him. Prosecutors say the captain was cut near his left eye. These battles took place in the inauguration staging area outside the Capitol, the scene of some of the most violent combat that day, and where the police line eventually collapsed. McKellop, the man who officials say attacked the officers so viciously, served in the Army for 23 years, spending time in the Special Forces, and was deployed twice to Afghanistan, twice to Iraq, according to the Pentagon.
Now, federal judges have ordered Jeffrey McKellop to remain in jail while his court case progresses. He has pleaded not guilty to 12 federal crimes, including felonies for attacking police.
You do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly, and I want to say that officially.
We don't know.
Well,
we don't
wait
know
a minute.
If it did come from the lab, but all the evidence is pointing that it came from the lab, and there will be responsibility for those who funded the lab, including yourself.
I totally
This committee will allow the witness to respond.
I totally resent the lie that you are now propagating, Senator.
Plenty of tension on Capitol Hill today as health officials testified before lawmakers about the coronavirus. Sparks flew as Senator Rand Paul again attacked Dr. Anthony Fauci about a controversial type of scientific research called gain of function. Fauci stood firm, insisting he never lied to Congress and is not retracting his statements. Minnesota's COVID numbers are up sharply. It's a trend we're seeing nationwide. 625 new cases were announced for the state today. The test positivity rate is now at 11.7%. The Minnesota Department of Health says 99% of new cases in Minnesota are in unvaccinated people. 75% of those new cases are the Delta variant. One doctor has a warning for those unvaccinated as Delta cases rise.
Do not be deceived that I got this far and I'm okay. This is a very different variant. It will find you. We are seeing rises in severe disease and hospitalization among young people.
Doctors say the risk in crowded outdoor settings is demonstrated by this new surge coming just 2 weeks after the 4th of July.
Still ahead tonight on Valley News Live at 10. Keeping your lawn plush in dark green in color is tough these days. What the experts say you should and shouldn't be doing right now.
The beginning of a heat wave that will have 90 to 100 degree heat, a fixture here in the valley for several days, and that smoke continues. Your hour-by-hour forecast is next.